Welcome back to the St. Pete Science Fest. So excited to be here with Dr. Andrea Kretz, who is going to talk to us today about sawfish and shark science. I am excited and a little scared. So thanks, Dr. Kretz.
Oh, I have to find the play button. 1 second. Apologies here. Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. Okay, I think we're on track now. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Dr. Andrea Kretz. I'm so excited to talk to you about sawfish and sharks. These are some of my favorite groups of animals. So I'm just going to get right into it and show you some cool pictures, videos, and teach you some fun facts. So sharks and rays, what are they? They are fish, and there are over 1,200 species of sharks and rays worldwide. They belong to a group called elasmobranchs or cartilaginous fish, and this is because they have a skeletal system made of hardened cartilage like you have in your nose or in your earlobes, as opposed to a bony skeleton like salmon or trout have. In terms of species diversity, it's quite large. There's more than 500 species of sharks, and these are worldwide. They're found in all oceans. These range from everything from these dark, deep water species like frill sharks and lantern sharks to some of the species that you're probably more familiar with, like whale sharks and hammerhead sharks. Now, there's even a larger diversity for rays. There are more than 600 species of rays worldwide. And as you can see from all of these pictures, they come in all different shapes and sizes. They're beautiful. They're so fun. I just love these animals. So I'm going to give you a little bit more information and some cool facts about them. If you did not know, each species of shark has unique teeth. And you can see from the top photos there, these are just some examples of different sharks' teeth. And this is related to the types of prey that they eat. So a mako shark, for example, is an open water shark. They're very fast. They hunt fast prey, right? So they need these long, sharp teeth to be able to grab and hold onto the prey easy, compared to, say, a nurse shark or a bonnethead shark, which eat crustaceans like shrimps and crabs and need more flat teeth. Sharks have something called serial tooth replacement. That middle photo there gives you an example of that. So this means that sharks continually make teeth throughout their lifetime. So they can make thousands and thousands of teeth. And it's not unusual for sharks to lose teeth whenever they eat, or if they just get loose and fall out. There's always going to be a tooth right behind that one that falls out to take its place, which is super cool and unique for these animals. And sharks and rays also have this kind of sixth sense that we call electroreception. And they have all of these little jelly-filled pores. In that bottom photo of that hammerhead, you can see all those little black dots are those ampullae of Lorenzini, and they're filled with jelly, and this just helps amplify the detection of electrical pulses that are given off by fish. And this helps sharks and rays find their prey so that they can eat them. Some more fun sharky facts are sharks and rays have different modes of giving birth. So sharks and rays can give live birth, but did you know that sharks can also lay eggs? I mean, how cool is that? I thought that was super cool. You could see in that bottom left-hand photo, those are baby swell sharks with the light shining behind the egg case, growing in that egg case. If you've ever been walking on the beach and you see something that looks similar to what's in that bottom right-hand photo, that's called a mermaid's purse, and that is the egg case of skates. So there are all these different modes of reproduction, which are unique to these animals. You might have heard of sand tiger sharks that eat their siblings in utero. That's actually true. They do eat their siblings and other eggs that are delivered to the babies from the mother, and that's just a form of nutrition. So I'm going to shift over and talk to you more about sawfish. If you can't tell from behind me, I love sawfish. This is the species that I study the most, the smalltooth sawfish. They a small, very charismatic group of very large rays. And I say charismatic because if you've never seen a sawfish before and looking at these photos, this is your first time, you're probably thinking, wow, that is a crazy, cool looking animal, and you would be correct in saying that. So there are 5 species of sawfish throughout the world. And if you think about there being more than 600 species of rays, only 5 of those are sawfish. That in and of itself is super cool and make these animals unique. So the names of the sawfish are narrow, smalltooth, dwarf, green, and large tooth. And you can see that they're found throughout the world. All of these species grow to at least 10 feet. The largest one can be up to 22 feet. And to give you a little bit of perspective of how big that is, this is the photo of a large tooth sawfish. This is the largest sawfish, about 23 feet. And if you line 4 adults up from head to toe, that's how big this sawfish is. So that's a huge, huge sawfish. I would love to see one that big. I haven't seen one yet, but hopefully there's still time to go out there and see one. So out of the 5 species, there's only one that is found in the United States, and that is the smalltooth sawfish, and that is the species that I study. This is found primarily in South Florida, but it's also found in the Bahamas. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit more information about that super cool appendage that give these animals that name. So they have a very long toothed rostrum is what it's called, but you can also call it the snout or a saw. And of course, that's how it gets its name. It looks like a saw, so they call them sawfish. And this makes these animals unique because they're the only living rays with a toothed rostrum. That rostrum can be used in killing their teleos prey. Again, I mentioned that they have those electroreceptors that helps them detect those tiny electrical pulses from fish. And they can also use that rostrum to pin their prey and move it towards their mouth, which is on the ventral side of the body. And that's true for all rays. Oftentimes, we catch sawfish in our research that have fish scales stuck to their teeth. And you can see why from this video. This is taken by a colleague who's doing research on large sawfish. This is a very secure, safe way for researchers to handle sawfish. But you can see that they really swipe that saw from side to side. And that is how they stun their prey. That's how they get fish scales stuck on their teeth. And we oftentimes find animals, this is a sharp-nosed shark that was very clearly swatted with the rostrum of a sawfish, but somehow escaped the jaws. If you can imagine, that rostrum is also used to protect itself from predators, use it as defense. Sawfish do have predators, primarily when they are smaller and juveniles. They can be preyed upon by crocodiles, like that picture up from Australia. Here in the United States, we've caught bull sharks that had whole sawfish in their stomachs. And then that bottom left-hand photo is a sawfish in a battle with a lemon shark. So each species of sawfish has a distinct rostrum. They are different lengths, they're different shapes, and they have different tooth counts on either side. And this is a way that scientists can distinguish the different species of sawfish. Another cool fact is that that rostrum can comprise 1/3 of the total body length of a sawfish. So if you think back to that photo I showed you of that large tooth sawfish that was 23 feet, can you just imagine that 4 to 5 feet of that is that long toothed rostrum? I mean, that's just phenomenal. I would absolutely love to see that in person. That's a pretty cool fact about sawfish. Unfortunately, all 5 species of sawfish are endangered, and this means that they are threatened with extinction. And to remind you what extinction is, when a species is gone off this planet, it is no longer coming back. We will never get it back. And we as researchers, and hopefully you as well, do not want this to happen for sawfish or any other species. So the reason that sawfish are so threatened with extinction is that toothed rostrum. Although it's super cool, it can easily become entangled in fishing nets, in fishing gear, garbage that's in the ocean. Some fishermen that catch it, they will cut that rostrum off to get it out of the net, or they just think it's cool to keep that rostrum as a souvenir. And sawfish will not survive without that rostrum. Of course, it's the main way that they collect and capture their prey, as well as for protection. In addition to habitat loss, these are the reasons why all sawfishes are threatened with extinction. So what myself and my colleagues and other scientists around the world are doing, We are studying sawfish so that we can help protect them. We are doing things like studying what kind of habitats they use, what kind of food they eat, looking into their genetics, looking into their reproduction. All of these things contribute to our knowledge of sawfish and how we can help conserve and manage all of these 5 species. So here's a cool drone video taken by my colleague. This is in the 10,000 Islands. This is in South Florida. It's very close to Everglades National Park. I primarily studied juvenile smalltooth sawfish, and we do know that they live in warm, shallow waters near mangroves, primarily red mangroves. This is ankle deep water. You can see how there's 2 little baby sawfish right there. This is excellent nursery habitat. That shallow water prevents, like bull sharks, lemon sharks, predators from coming in and eating. You might be able to see there's a couple small fish swimming along beside the sawfish. And so there are plenty of food for these animals to eat. So these shallow habitats near mangroves are super, super important. And these are nursery habitat and critical habitat for the species. This is why it's so important to keep our nature clean, keep garbage out of the water, out of the mangroves, so we can keep it healthy for sawfish and other animals that use this habitat. Okay, I'm going to show you a series of short videos. This is some really cool footage that I was a part of back in 2016. We captured a 14-foot sawfish in the Bahamas. This was the largest smalltooth sawfish that I have ever seen. I was super excited to catch this animal. That in and of itself was absolutely amazing. There's a very, very small population in the Bahamas, and to catch one this large was really, really exciting. I mean, look how beautiful that is against the clear water. In addition to catching this large sawfish, we found out that she was pregnant. If you can see, there are 2 rostra from 2 babies sticking out of her cloaca. So this is the first time that a sawfish birth was seen in the wild, and this is true for smalltooth sawfish. We didn't want to hurt the animals. We were going to be doing some surgery where we implant these acoustic tags to track them. So we decided to assist in the birth of those 2 that were sticking out of the cloaca. I mean, look at how amazing that is. That it was absolutely a once in a lifetime experience to witness that. So we got some excellent data from these little sawfish. We took measurements. We put these tiny little tags called pit tags. It's like the microchip that you put in your dogs and your cats to find them. So if we catch them later on, we can scan where we put the tag in and we know what animal it was. But just look at how big the mother is compared to the babies. Super, super cool. All in all, she gave birth to 5 pups. We know that she had more in her. We believe that smalltooth sawfish give birth between 7 and 14 pups. And that's me inserting that little microchip pit tag into the sawfish. And then this is a little video showing, oh, did it freeze? Oh no. There we go. This is the video of a newborn sawfish swimming away for the first time. It's kind of trying to get its sea legs there. Oh, I don't think that video is going to work. Apologies for that, but it was really cool to see that swim away. So some fun sawfish facts for you are that sawfish give live birth. We've seen that. They have a yolk sac that provides nutrition for them. Once they completely absorb that yolk sac, then they are ready to be pupped. They have fully developed rostral teeth that are covered in this hardened jelly sheath, and that's to protect the mother during the birth process. This is an up close picture of that. You can see all those white lines of teeth that are covered by that jelly sheath, which is a super cool adaptation for this species. And that jelly sheath actually dissipates relatively quickly within 2 days or so. At least for smalltooth sawfish, since we witnessed this, we know that the pups are born rostrum first. That top photo is 2 pups that are belly to belly with their rostrums touching. And they are pupped one at a time. That bottom photo there, you can see that rostrum of the second sawfish sticking out as that first sawfish is being pupped. We know that smalltooth sawfish are born at about 70 centimeters. They have a litter size of between 7 and 14 babies, and the mother has a pregnancy that lasts 1 year. That is a very long time for a pregnancy, but she's got 7 to 14 babies in her. That's probably just the right amount of time for this animal. So some more fun sawfish facts. The rostral teeth of sawfish continually grow, but if a tooth is removed completely, it will not grow back. But if it's broken, it will grow back. So that photo with the red circle there, that's showing you that the 2 teeth on the left and the right are broken, but the root is still there. So those teeth will grow back fully. But that middle one there, that tooth was removed. There's no root left to it. So that rostral tooth will not grow back. So this is different from the serial tooth replacement that happens in the jaws, the teeth in the jaws of the animal. This is the rostral teeth, which are slightly different. Another cool fact are that sawfish are living fossils. I mean, these were around in the time of dinosaurs. And if you follow National Geographic, you might have seen this picture before. I thought it was really cool. These are 2 Spinosaurus dinosaurs that are depicted feeding on the prehistoric sawfish, Onchopristis. Super cool. In the fossil record, it shows that we do have record of these sawfishes being around in the time of dinosaurs. So if you ever happen to see a sawfish, you are looking at a living dinosaur. So as I mentioned, all 5 species are endangered and sawfish need your help. So why should we save a sawfish? Well, first of all, they are just absolutely unique and amazing animals. Again, the only living ray with that toothed rostrum. They are ancient, but they're nearly extinct. You know, sawfish have been around for 60 million years, but in the past 100 years, sawfish have gone extinct in over 50 countries, and that's due to fishing and habitat loss. In other words, human influence. We need sawfish and other large sharks to maintain healthy ecosystem. As top predators, they can help maintain the balance in coastal ecosystems by controlling populations of their prey. So all of these things combined are very good and valid reasons why I care and why you should care and want to help save sawfish and conserve the species. So what can you do to help? Well, you can be a citizen scientist. If you are out fishing or boating and, you know, with your mom and dad and you see a sawfish, we want to know about it. If you are at a restaurant, you know, like particularly down in the Florida Keys, it's very typical to see the rostrum or that saw hanging up in a restaurant. We also want to know about that because scientists can take genetic samples from those rostra and get some really good information. So we need your help as scientists, as citizen scientists, to help us find out where sawfish are and how we can help conserve them. I think I'm probably close to the end of my time here, so I would love to take any questions that you guys might have for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kretz, for teaching us about sharks and sawfish. I just learned so much, and to see that birth, what a special experience for you and for all of us to live through your video. We have one question to start from Charlotte, and they are wondering how red tide affects sharks and sawfish.
That's a very excellent question. Red tide is something that we are dealing with more and more now due to, you know, more input of fertilizers and you know, human impacts into the water that are exacerbating this already natural event. We actually are not sure exactly how red tide affects sawfish. You know, a couple of years ago, there was a really strong red tide off of South Florida, like in the Tampa area. But we did not see an increase in, you know, dead sawfish. Now that does happen from time to time, but that red tide year, we didn't see an increase. So presumably maybe that year, it didn't really affect sawfish, but that is something that we are still studying for that species as well as other sharks.
That's great. Thank you for that. I'm wondering, so I've spent time in the Florida Keys and I have seen sawfish down there, but there are lots of mangroves up here and I have never seen sawfish up here. Are they not as common? Is it people being in their way? Why do I see them down in the Keys and in the 10,000 islands, but not up here?
That's an excellent question. And that has to do with range contraction due to the loss of the species. So historically, you could find small-tooth sawfish from Texas all the way up to North Carolina, and you even have some transients that could have been found off of New York. But because of the being bycatch in fisheries and habitat loss, their range was really contracted to South Florida, primarily Charlotte Harbor estuary and Everglades National Park. Now, because of a gillnet ban that was put in place in 1993 and sawfish being listed on the Endangered Species Act, this has really helped the population in general. And we are actually starting to see sawfish come back to some of these historical areas. And funny, you mentioned about the St. Pete, Tampa area, because earlier this year, my colleagues found and were able to capture and tag two baby sawfish in Tampa Bay, which is the first time that we have record of juvenile, like baby sawfish, being pupped outside of Everglades National Park and Charlotte Harbor estuary. So this is a really, really good sign that we are starting to see signs of recovery for small-tooth sawfish in the United States.
That's so exciting. It's so exciting to hear that. I had one more question about the birth. So it looks like you guys helped shepherd the little ones into their home in the water, and then you injected them with a tag. Do you know, are those sawfish still alive today?
Another great question. We have not recaptured those sawfish yet. I am hoping that when we go back and continue our research in the Bahamas, that we're going to capture them. Every sawfish that we get, we put those little microchip tags in, and they're called pit tags, and we scan sawfish for them. So before, that's the first thing we do is scan a sawfish to see if we've already captured it before. So we don't know if they're still alive. In my heart of hearts, I think they are. At least I hope one of them is. But it was super unique to just see that, let alone get some tags in those animals. And I just really do hope that we catch those in the future.
So it's kind of like a microchip that you put in your pet and your dog.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
We have another question from Victoria. They are wondering, is there a measurement of some kind on how strong the sawfish are?
Great question. I don't believe that there is. It's kind of tough to do research like that on an endangered species. I would say probably sawfish that are in aquaria, that could be a study that could be done, but I don't have a metric for you as to how strong they are. But I can tell you, handling them, they are quite strong. Even the little ones, you really have to have a good grip on the base of the rostrum and on the tail. We usually have two scientists holding even those little ones at one time, because if you're not looking, they'll jerk really quick and they can get out of your hands. So I would say that they're quite strong, but I just don't have a number for you.
I feel like Victoria, you should maybe go to the Moat Aquarium and talk to them about doing a study about the strength of sawfish. I think it's a good idea.
They do have sawfish in the Georgia Aquarium.
Okay.
And they have one in the Dallas Aquarium as well.
Yeah. Okay. And then final question, I think, for time-wise, how can we, as people who care, persuade people to save the sawfish?
Yeah, that really ties into my second to last slide there as to why sawfish are so important. Just like all big sharks, big predators in ecosystem, whether it's terrestrial or land. In addition to it just being so unique, I mean, look at that cool sawfish. I don't know how anyone can look at one of those and be like, I don't care about it. Like it's just a super unique animal. It's a literal living fossil. And that is something that we should all strive and want to conserve, let alone try, these are animals that really do help maintain the balance of our ecosystems. And if we get rid of that, it's just going to throw our ecosystems into chaos. And we don't know what the consequences of that are yet. So it's important to keep these animals where they should be.
Thank you. I think you teaching us about them and learning how cool they are can be very persuasive. So I encourage all of our citizen scientists on this St. Pete Science Festival video to think about what you thought was so cool and go share that everywhere, right? It's just like Dr. Kratz is doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Word of mouth is more powerful than anything. So if you think what I taught you today was super cool, please tell all your friends about it. Spread the word. That's what we want.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Kretz. Thanks to everyone viewing. We'll be back soon with more amazing science at the St. Pete Science Festival.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.